Okay, so I just want to explain a little bit about positioning and somewhere where you could be a little bit better. I told you that there are times when you're going past parked cars that you're a little bit too far, yeah? Okay. When we're driving, we follow something called the driving line, okay?
Mm.
Now, if you imagine a road, yeah, without any markings, yeah, without any centre line, yeah, it's a two-way road. Let me ask you, where would be the correct position to drive? Would it be here? Would it be here? Or would it be here?
The third one.
A, B, or C?
C.
See.
You both say C, yeah? That's good, you're correct. But why? Can you explain to me why is it C?
Because there are no road markings.
Yeah?
And then front you can, because if the left hand side, any cars, anything's been parked, it's so you can control the turn to right.
Yeah. What I'm looking for is for you to tell me what your brain is doing. What your brain does is your brain looks at the road and it divides the road in half, yeah? And then it says, right, that's the half, yeah? Where is the middle of my half? Yeah?
Mm.
It's there, roughly. Yeah?
Yeah.
And what happens is, with experience, your brain performs this calculation without you realizing. Yeah. So sometimes maybe when you're learning to drive, the instructor's telling you keep a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit left, a little bit right. And you're thinking, well, how do I know? It's because your brain should be doing this. Yeah. You quarter the road, you divide it in half, then you divide it in half again. Yeah. I've never heard anybody explain this to anybody before, so that's what I'm telling you. Yeah. If you then introduce an obstruction in the road, for example, a parked car, yeah. The principle is the same. You divide the road in half, what's remaining? You divide that half in half, and that gives you your position, yeah? So, by the brain doing this all the time, it gives us what we call our driving line, yeah? And at the same time, if there's a vehicle parked on this side, divide the road in half, divide that half in half. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what we call the driving line. Yeah? The driving line is always being in the middle of your half of the road. And if there's an obstruction, yeah, just factor that into the equation. Yeah? Now, if there's a white line down the middle of the road, what happens is sometimes it actually confuses you. Yeah? And you're thinking, right, well, I'm in my lane, yeah? I may have to go over the white line a little bit, yeah? Provided there's enough room for the oncoming vehicle to pass, there's no need to stop. And what's happening sometimes when you're driving, like when that bus driver pulled out on us, he had an obstruction on his side, yeah? He pulled out. But he could see that the road was wide enough, and provided that you came a little bit to the left and follow your driving line, the two of you could pass each other. So you've got to realise an oncoming vehicle will look at the amount of room available, and if they think that you can both pass each other safely, they'll keep coming. And in the same way, when you're passing a parked vehicle, as long as you leave enough room for the oncoming vehicle and don't squeeze them, you can carry on, yeah? Now, you may need a signal if you're going over the white line, yeah? You also have to be aware that the car door may open, yeah? So when you're positioning yourself, be ready for something unexpected, yeah? At the same time, the vehicle that's coming towards you, somebody might open the car door on his side, yeah? So he may have to come a little bit wider, yeah? This is how a good driver thinks. A good driver doesn't just look at the stationary cars, they think, right, I'm going to position myself to help the bus driver coming towards me. Somebody may open the door on his side, he may have to come over a little bit ready. So I'm ready for that, yeah? You have to be ready for these things. Remember, just because it's on the opposite side of the road doesn't mean to say it's not going to affect you. It will affect you because it's going to affect that bus, and that bus is going to affect you, yeah? You have to see, it's like a game of chess. You have to see how one piece, when it moves, it affects the other pieces, yeah? Okay, now, something else. When I'm driving, I'm just going to tell you how I visualize the road and how I visualize my positioning, yeah? Have you ever played Space Invaders? You know, there's an old game called Space Invaders, yeah? It's a little, like a little spaceship on the bottom of the screen, and it moves from side to side, yeah?
I know.
Okay, right. The way I drive, And I did tell you earlier, I said the hardest thing to do is drive the bus straight. Yeah? With experience, you learn to drive around corners. You learn to avoid the curbs and position the bus for tight corners. But some drivers never learn how to hold the bus absolutely straight. Yeah. When I'm driving, the way I visualize the road is when I'm here, I want to be straight. Yeah. When I'm here, I'm straight. Yeah. And when I pass the parked vehicle, I want to be straight again. Yeah. So the way I visualize it is like this. I visualize I'm going along, I come out, and I get straight. I come in, and I get straight, yeah? Like that game Space Invaders where the spaceship moves from side to side, yeah? That's how I visualize the road. Now, you can't really drive like that because it's very abrupt. When you steer, your passengers are going to get thrown around, yeah? So what you do is you smooth it out. You smooth out that steering. When you get to here, you smooth it out. But the way I visualize the road is like this. I always try and be straight. So I always try and get my position early and straighten. Come in early and straighten, yeah? What you tend to do when you're driving is a bit more like this, yeah? Yeah? You tend to move out a little bit later, and that means that you wander out a little bit too far, and that can sometimes affect the vehicle coming towards you, yeah? And then you tend to come back a little bit late as well. It's more like a banana shape, yeah?
Mm.
Everything's just a little bit late, whereas you could be more efficient, yeah? You've got to keep the steering smooth, but you could do everything a little bit earlier, yeah? But always remember, try and keep the bus straight. When you're passing the parked vehicles, all you want is enough room for the door to open, yeah? But what you tend to do sometimes is be a bit more like that. So you've got a little bit too much room there, yeah? It's not necessary, because it means that you've got to put this vehicle who's coming towards you under pressure, yeah? Understand?
Yeah.
Okay. I said to you about smoothing things out, yeah? Everything that we do when we're driving has to be smooth, yeah? And I'll just give you a little example, yeah, of a little bit of psychology, yeah? If you give a child one of these drawing books and it has some join the dots puzzles in there, yeah? And you ask the child to join the dots, the child will do this. Yeah? But as an adult, I would expect you to join the dots
Round.
like that. Yeah? Because I haven't told you it has to be straight lines. You've got to realise that you've got to smooth everything out. And so it is when you're driving. Yeah? And when I say smooth everything out, the reason I use that example about joining the dots is when you're driving down the road, you don't just have one thing at a time to deal with. Yeah? You might have a zebra crossing, a parked car on the other side, and then a bend. Right? And if you're here, you can't just think about one thing at a time, yeah? Because you're always going to get surprised. You're always going to be behind, mentally behind, yeah? So when you're here, you ease off the gas and you think, right, maybe someone's going to walk towards the zebra crossing from somewhere, yeah? They could come from anywhere, yeah? You ease off the gas about 3 or 4 seconds before and you check the zebra crossing. While you're looking at the zebra crossing, you have to be aware of this parked car. Maybe the door's going to open when you pass it. So as you go through that zebra crossing, you're positioning yourself to get past the parked car. While you're doing that, you've got to be aware that somebody may open the door on this side, and that's going to force that vehicle into your side of the road, yeah? And then you've got the corner to deal with. A good driver doesn't just see one thing at a time. A good driver can see the whole road in one go. They can see the crossing, the people crossing, the door here, the door there, and the corner, one go. But when you're learning, it's like you're doing dot to dot. You're doing one thing at a time, yeah? But this is what we look for. And with experience, you can look down the busy road and you can see everything. You can see all the pedestrians, all the crossings, all the cars, all the buses, bus stops, everything in one go. Your brain can process it, yeah? But at the moment, because you've not driven to this like intense, intense sort of level before, you're not seeing all these things at the same time. But with experience, you will. But this is why sometimes we're saying, come on, get going, or slow down, because what's happening is you're dealing with this, but there's something developing over here that you haven't seen. Yeah? So it's like that.